Hello and welcome to the Poverty Franchise Podcast. My name is PJ, and today we're going to be doing the NFL Roundup Week 17, the penultimate week in the NFL season. And I'm just going to start out with kind of the low point. That's the best way to really say it, but the incident that happened to Damon. Oh no! Oh my god! I keep wanting to say Denny Hamlin because I like NASCAR and I see the last name Hamlin and my brain goes back to it. Yeah, Damar Hamlin. Um, Incident on the field. I wish him the best. I'm glad that, frankly, he's alive at this point. I hope he'll make the best recovery, a full recovery, or the best recovery that he can make. In that, that means I just want to see him have a normal life after this. If it doesn't mean returning to the field, that'd be gravy. The incident it reminded me of was what happened to Christian Eriksen in the Euros last year. And for Christian Eriksen, I mean, he's back playing. So there is a path forward after this. That the situations are probably only tangentially similar, but I just wish him the best. The game was postponed. There's no really real thing of talking about the game. But I'm going to talk about the other games of the week instead. And I want to touch on the fact that the NFL did want them to play that game. And I'm just going to go on a limb and say it was because of Las Vegas. Having to pay back basically every bet you took out on that game has to be paid back almost. There's no conclusive outcome happened. So it is what it is on that front. So Cowboys, starting with the Thursday night game, Cowboys take care of business against the Titans. Malik Willis does not get the start. Josh Dobbs of Tennessee fame does. Josh Dobbs is a mediocre quarterback in the pros. Lit up at Tennessee. Had some very memorable moments. The Hail Mary against Florida, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of the highlight of that. Played a little bit on the Steelers. Didn't really get much run. Didn't have the worst game. Completion percentage was super low. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But for a third-string quarterback, you're not looking for much else. In the nothing burger game, the Falcons do beat the Cardinals. Desmond Ridder actually has a pretty solid performance out there with 19 to 26, 169. Still hasn't thrown a touchdown yet, but he looks solid. Looks like he could do a lot more learning, a lot more to do there. Well, with how good the Falcons' rushing attack is, it should help him out a lot. It's going to be up to Arthur Smith to really scheme around that and develop him. Lions beat up on the Bears 41-10. Jags take care of business against the Texans 31-3. Travis Etienne has a big game. Chiefs beat the Broncos 27-24. Patriots beat the Dolphins 23-21, who have to go to Skylar Thompson again because Teddy Bridgewater breaks his finger, if I'm not mistaken. So they might be starting him in a very important Week 18 matchup. Giants clinch a playoff slot, beating up on the Colts 38-10. Daniel Jones has a great game. Saints beat the Eagles 20-10. Gardner Minshew kind of falls flat. I don't like the slander Gardner Minshew's taking. Not his system. It's only really the second game of the year. Can't be losing to the Saints though at this point in the season. Andy Dalton has a pretty good game. Steelers beat the Ravens 16-13. Mike Tomlin is gonna get his fucking not winning season. He's gonna get his winning season. So help him God, because Lamar Jackson still has not come back yet. Another Tyler Huntley shit class. Tyler Huntley might have played his way out of a job in the NFL this year. I just don't think. Again, I think he's only a backup for the Ravens because he can keep running the same offense, but the same offense is being shit. So Mark Andrews came back and had a good game. They had 100 yards, so good for him. Najee Harris also had a good game, rushing, putting 111 on the ground. Buccaneers beat the Panthers 30-24. Mike Evans explodes after having a real slow year this year. Explodes for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Buccaneers offense finally clicked against a reasonably stout unit in the Panthers. Mike Evans gets over 1,000 yards again this year. So he's every year of his career has gone over 1,000 yards. And he basically doubled his touchdown total going in. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns going into that game. He walked out with 6. So you can't ask for much more. But yeah, the Buccaneers stopped the Panthers' pretty stout rushing attack. Now there's talks of after the college bowl games. Just talk about those great football games. By the way, TCU beats Michigan. Georgia beats Ohio State on the missed field goal from Ohio State. Harbaugh might be leaving Michigan to come to the pros. The Panthers are a team looking at him, and I don't really support that. I think Steve Wilkes deserves a season with the Panthers. This team was dead in the water. They were fucking floundering under Matt Rule. I think we let Steve Wilkes get a season. I really do. But they took advantage of some injuries. So J.C. Horn being out, that kind of just opened that shit up for Mike Evans to go crazy on the outside. The Buccaneers still cannot rush the ball to save their lives, which means their playoff performance is not going to be good because, especially in the playoffs, you have to run the ball. That sounds like an old head take. It's just something I've observed. The Commanders getting eliminated from playoff contention by the Browns of all teams is funny. 49ers beat the Raiders in overtime. Jarrett Stidham had a great game against, again, a pretty stout unit. Brock Purdy also had a really good game. McCaffrey's out for a couple weeks, picked up an injury. At least to my knowledge, he's out for a couple weeks. Yeah, he's day-to-day with an ankle sprain. He probably sits out week 18. He's back for the playoffs. The Jarrett Stidham showed out. They better hope Devontae Adams doesn't want out. I hope he wants out. I want him on the Bears. Seahawks beat the Jets 23-6 to keep their season alive. Packers destroy the Vikings 41-17 to also keep their season alive. Chargers beat up on the Rams 31-10. And looking at the standings, really, we don't know what's going to go on with the AFC East at the moment. But right now, Week 18, you have the pivotal matchup between Jacksonville and Tennessee. And Jacksonville's hot and Tennessee is cold as shit. They're going to be starting 2 not good options at quarterback. Conservative bad option or explosive bad option. That's really their choices. And really, the last playoff spot is going to be up to... It's going to be close for the AFC. It's going to be between really my apologies. New England, Miami, and the Pittsburgh fucking Steelers will be those remaining slots. And we're just going to jump right into next week's games. I know I'm kind of progressing fast in this episode, going into Week 18 predictions immediately. But since the topic is the playoffs, so the Patriots will probably be playing the Bills. The Bills will probably be resting their guys. I don't really want to factor in the other factor, but it just depends how if they rest their guys in that game. The Buccaneers have safely clinched their division, by the way, in the NFC. There's no way. Because I think they have the tiebreaker on the Saints, so there's no way they can get out. Sticking to the AFC, the Ravens and Bengals. With the Ravens losing that game, again, we don't know how it's going to pan out, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to win the division. They're going to have a road game. So that pretty much settles that. The Packers play the Lions in the NFC. So going to the NFC, 3 teams in the NFC East clinched. Eagles, Cowboys, Giants. Cowboys and Giants are going to have road games. Cowboys are probably going to be playing the Buccaneers. Giants are probably going to play either the Niners or the Vikings. So Detroit, Green Bay, and Seattle are all 8-8. Seattle holds the tiebreakers right now. Seattle plays the Rams. They probably have the easiest way in right now. The Packers and Lions are both 8-8 and play each other. So basically, both teams are going to hope Seattle loses because Seattle beat the Lions. So if the Lions win that game and the Seahawks win, they're kaput because they lost. And to my knowledge, the Seahawks have not played the Packers this year. They have not. I forgot the tiebreaker rules after that. We just look them up together. So it's going to come up to division record then, right? So if you look at division record, so the Seahawks, their division is the Niners, Cardinals, and why do I forget the fourth one? I'm looking at the fucking divisions. Oh my god. And the Rams. The Rams. So they lost we're going to keep count. They lost to the Niners. They beat the Cardinals. They beat the Cardinals again. So they're 2-1 at this point. 2-1 at this point. They beat the Rams. They're 3-1. Lost to the Niners. They're 3-2. So if they win this game, they'll be 4-2. And then gotta have to look at the Packers and Lions schedule respectfully. Again, with the Lions, it's not going to matter. They beat the Lions, so if both teams win. Lions win. Lions are going to have to hope for a Seahawks loss to get into the playoffs. That's just the way it's going to have to be because they don't have the tiebreaker on the Seahawks. The Packers, on the other hand, have a bit better of a road in because if they win the game, it's going to be down to their division record because they didn't play the Seahawks head-to-head this year. And their division records, they lost to the Vikings. They beat the Bears twice. I know this. I watched both games. So they're 2-1 at this point. They lost to the Lions earlier. They're 2-2. But they beat the Vikings, which makes them 3-2. Now it actually goes to the next stage. They beat the Lions. They'd also be 4-2 in their division, which means it comes down to their conference now, right? And this only happens if the Seahawks lose. Winner of Lions Packers is in the playoffs. That's just it. Now it comes down to conference, where the Packers lost to the Vikings. They beat the Bears and Buccaneers. We ignore the Patriots. So they're 2-1 at this point. Lost to the Giants 2-2. Lost to the Lions 2-3. Beat the Cowboys 3-3. Lost to the Eagles 3-4. Bears 4-4. Rams 5-4. Vikings 6-4. And then beating the Lions would make them 7-4 inside the conference. Whereas with the Seahawks, and then we're getting real in the nitty-gritty of fucking nightmare scenarios real quick. For the Seahawks, on the season in the conference, so they actually started the conference. They were 0-2 in the conference to start, losing to the Niners and Falcons. They beat the Lions. They lost to the Saints. That's 1-3. Beat the Cardinals. Beat the Giants. Beat the Cardinals again. Lost the Buccaneers. That's 4-4. Beat the Rams. Lost the Panthers. Lost the Niners, which makes them 5-6 at this point. And even if they beat the Jets, they'd be 500 in their conference. Which means is that if they're tied, if the Seahawks have to hope the Seahawks get into the playoffs this year with a win, and most importantly, a Detroit Lions win as well. That is their path into the playoffs. They do not get in if the Packers win the game. Packers are winning in. Lions are win and Seahawks loss if in. Now, could you just look this up and not have me poorly explain it and learn the NFL tiebreaker rules on the fly? Sure, but that's a bit less fun, isn't it? Going to the other nightmare scenario, we have the clusterfuck that is the AFC. And Patriots control their destiny. The Dolphins, they're going to be starting a third-string quarterback, or probably. Tua should probably be shut down for the year. The Miami Dolphins will be playing the Jets. Depending on that quarterback, this season might be over. It truly might be. If they win and Patriots win, they'll both be 9-8. And if the Steelers beat the Browns, which I think they will, they'll also be 9-8. So I'd say all three teams are 9-8 in this scenario. You have to look at each individual schedule because that's the only three teams that can be 9-8. Chargers have clinched; they're 10-6. So all three teams can finish the season 9-8. I don't think the Jets have been mathematically eliminated yet because every team could lose and then they'd be 8-9. So every team would be 8-9 left. There's a possibility Tennessee, Jacksonville can also get in through the wild card in this way too because then they'd be two 8-9 teams as well. Tennessee has to win this game to even have a chance. Jacksonville can in theory lose this game, but a lot would have to lose this current matchup, but a lot would have to go right for them to get in on a wild card. So let's assume Jacksonville has to win in their in scenario. Patriots have to win in their in. And let's say the Patriots, Dolphins, and Steelers all go 8-9. What is the tiebreaker? Well, starting with the Patriots schedule, I'm pretty sure they beat the Dolphins. They beat the Dolphins. And it's the same. Like the Jaguars have a better record inside the conference than the Titans. By the way, that's why they're gonna go ahead and win it. But they've split the Dolphins. So you gotta look at the record inside the conference. So they beat the Dolphins. They lost the Dolphins 0-1. Beat the Jets 1-1. Beat the Jets again 2-1. Lost the Bills 2-2. Beat the Dolphins 3-2. And then if they beat it, they'll be 4-2. Looking at the Miami Dolphins schedule for the year. Beat the Patriots. Beat the Bills. Lost to the Jets. Lost to the Bills. Lost to the Patriots. Best they can do is break even. So if they both win, Patriots are in off of that alone. But now the Steelers come sniveling in. And let's say Patriots. And then we're going to assume that if all three win, it would be Patriots versus Steelers. I don't remember the Bears beat the Patriots this season. I just almost fucking forgot about that. The Patriots did not play the Patriots did beat the Steelers, so if the Patriots win, the Steelers are automatic out. They have the tiebreaker on them. So the Steelers' chance in this is really... The best case scenario is both teams lose. Because both teams would have to lose. I forgot they played the Dolphins earlier this year, too. They got trounced by them. They would have to have both teams lose because they don't have the tiebreaker on either team. For the Dolphins don't, at least. Sorry, the Steelers do not have the tiebreaker on either team. So the Steelers would need both teams to lose. Now, if all three teams lose, this is where it gets just super crazy and super outlandish. But just jumping into the predictions, Buccaneers will beat the Falcons. I think the Patriots will beat the Bills just because the Vikings will beat the Bears. And I hope the Bears start Nathan Peterman. That is a sentence I never thought would come out of my mouth, but just protect Justin Fields. The line is injured to hell. We lost Tevin Jenkins and Schofield, the third, I think, the backup. I think the Ravens will beat the Bengals. Actually, no, I correct. I think the Bengals will beat the Ravens. Colts will beat the Texans in an absolute fucking dumpster fire of a football game. Chargers will beat the Broncos. Lions-Packers is hard to call. It's in Lambeau. I think the Packers are the hotter team. I'm going to go Packers as much as it pains me to say. I want to hate watch and see the Lions win, though. Jaguars will beat the Titans. Jets will beat the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are not going to win the game. Panthers will beat the Saints. I think the Giants will beat the Eagles. I just think the Eagles are going to be resting guys. Jalen Hurts is not going to be 100%. There's no reason to play him. Steelers will beat the Browns, but by definition of the Patriots, me thinking the Patriots are going to beat the Bills, the Steelers will be on the outside looking in, which is tough. And since I said Packers will be beating the Lions, that also means the Seahawks will be on the outside looking in. And, I think the Seahawks will win against the Rams. Niners will beat up on the Cardinals, and the Cowboys will beat up on the Commies. But yeah, the playoffs are just super fucking interesting this year. I like all the tiebreakers, how's it gonna go, and a lot of teams are gonna be a lot of looking on, just hoping and praying that we can get in, we can't get in, this and the other. MVP of the year, is it Josh Allen? Is it Jalen Hurts? Really, it's probably. I mean, again, if you asking me. Me personally, I think this year should probably be Patrick Mahomes. He's had a fantastic year. Justin Jefferson, honestly, I would have made a good faith argument until last game, where Jair Alexander absolutely locked his ass, put his ass in prison. Patrick Mahomes is having an absolutely fantastic year. He's leading the league in passing yards. He's 13-3. He's thrown 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. He's at the point where he's kind of making this shit look normal. This is also the second highest of his career. He still hasn't gone back to that second year where he took the lead by storm. He threw 50 touchdowns. But 16 games, 5,000 yards, 40 TDs, only 12 picks, 105 QB, 105 quarterback rating. Voted to the Pro Bowl. He's had another 329 and 4 touchdowns on the ground. He probably deserves a second MVP. He probably does. And if we're looking past just quarterbacks, Justin Jefferson probably is the best non-quarterback. Him or I'm arguing Nick Bosa or Micah Parsons maybe. But Justin Jefferson is OPOY, and there's no stopping that. Josh Jacobs is going to get paid this year. He's been a force, thankfully, to my fantasy team as well. Putting down 1,600 yards on the ground for 12 TDs, averaging 5 yards a carry. And in the receiving game, adding another 395 yards through the air, bringing his total scrimmage yards to just over 2,000. Yes, just over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. 2,003. Yards from scrimmage. So in a different year, that's MVP level, but the Raiders just aren't playing. Patrick Mahomes is kind of the reason they're 13-3, and that's the reason quarterbacks are going to get those accolades. Even though Justin Jefferson, you can argue, is part of the reason why the Vikings are that good. Maybe this is my irrational Kirk Cousins hatred. Maybe, possibly even. Yes, it is. It is my irrational. Nick Bosa will probably win DPOY. But yeah, that's really it about the NFL week 17, man. And I just hope DeMar Hamlin gets better. And remember, football is a violent game. It is super fun to watch and it's entertaining to play. But it is still that violent game at the end of the day. Praying for him. But it's been PJ on the Poverty Franchise Podcast signing off. Good night and good luck.